Hey everybody, welcome to Perfect Edition Comics. I'm your host Perfect, and today we're going to take a look at new collected editions for January 2021. Let's do this thing. Let's kick it off with Marvel Comics and see what they have in the new year. So first of all, we got Captain America by Ed Brubaker. This is the first omnibus and this is a new printing. So this was printed quite a while ago, maybe over a decade ago, and now finally they're doing reprints of this. If you haven't read it, this is your time and your chance to jump on. So this is my first pick of the month, of many this month, because there's a lot of stuff coming out. This omnibus covers Captain America 1 to 25, Captain America 65th Anniversary Special, and the Winter Soldier Winter Kills. This will be in stores around the end of January on the 27th and goes for a retail price of $100. All in all, there's 5 omnis that collect this full story by Ed Brubaker. Has marvelous writing on this. So I really encourage you to jump on board now. The second Omni should also be coming out in 2021, and perhaps even the third, but we haven't yet got a solicitation for that. Watch this space. Next we have the Moon Knight Omnibus. This is the first volume by a whole bunch of creators. David Finch cover looks really nice on this one. Covers a lot of stuff that I'm not going to get through now, but if you're into Moon Knight, this kind of picks it up all the way back from 1972 and goes all the way through to more the modern stuff as well into the 80s and carries through. So if you're a Moon Knight fan, this is how you can catch up on the character. This comes out beginning of Jan on the 6th and goes for a retail price of $125. Another omnibus sized book, or maybe even larger. This is a monster size Eternals by Jack Kirby. Not quite sure what monster size means. It looks potentially to be an omni or larger. This doesn't collect a huge amount of stuff, but it's still pretty sizable. Collects the Eternals from 1976, numbers 1 through 19, and the first annual. This will be out in the first week of January for $125. Then with another omnibus, we've got the Savage Sword of Conan. This is the original stuff from the Marvel years back in the day, and this is the 4th omnibus volume of this. It collects the writing of Roy Thomas and a couple of others. And this collects the Savage Sword of Conan from the 1974 run, numbers 45 through 60, comes in the first week of January for $125. Next we got The Amazing Spider-Man. This is a reprint or a new printing of the second omnibus. So if you've had the first one and you haven't been able to grab the second one, now's your chance. This covers AMS from 1963, 39 through 67, Annual 3 through 5, and Spectacular Spider-Man 1 and 2. This comes out at the end of January for $125. Then we have something that many people are looking forward to. This is X of Swords. This is the oversized hardcover of the event. Not going to get into all the creators, but obviously Jonathan Hickman leads the way, as he has on a lot of parts of this run, and it collects a lot of different things that I'm not going to get into either. It's a sizable oversized hardcover. It looks like quite a few issues. So if you've been waiting this one out, didn't want the trades, wanted the oversized art, this is as close to an Omni of X of Swords as you're going to get for now. This is in stores January 20th and goes for a retail price of $100. Then we have the second OHC for Donny Cates' run on Venom. This is volume 2, and this covers the latest run of Venom from 2018, numbers 16 through 25. Be in shops towards the end of Jan on the 20th and goes for $35. Next, getting into Epic Collections, which is the new big thing for many of us. This is Amazing Spider-Man, Goblin's Last Stand. This is the old Stan Lee stuff and Jerry Conway. This collects Amazing Spider-Man 105 through 123. Will be in stores January 6th and goes for $39.99. Next, we have another Epic Collection. This is the Avengers West Coast, How the West Was Won. Roger Stern is writing this one, and this collects a bunch of different stuff. West Coast Avengers 1 through 4, Iron Man Annual 7, Avengers 250, West Coast Avengers 1 through 7, Vision and the Scarlet Witch 1 and 2, and Wonder Man number 1. This is in the first week of January on Jan 6 and goes for $39.99. Next, another Epic Collection. This is The Incredible Hulk this time, and this is Who Will Judge the Hulk? This is Roy Thomas and Archie Goodwin and a bunch of other creators involved, and this collects Incredible Hulk 138 through 156 and Avengers 88. In stores the first week of Jan and goes for $39.99. Next, another Epic Collection, something a bit more modern though. This is Conan Chronicles, the Epic Collection, The Song of Belit or Belit. This is Brian Wood writing, Becky Cloonan on art, and a bunch of others. And this collects some of the more modern Conan stuff from 2012. This is Conan the Barbarian 7 through 25. This is in shops Jan 13th and goes for $44.99. Next up, something that they're probably printing because of the upcoming TV show. This is Vision and the Scarlet Witch, the trade paperback. This is the Saga of Wanda and the Vision. And this collects Giant Size Avengers number 4, Vision and Scarlet Witch 1 through 4, Vision and Scarlet Witch 1 through 12, and West Coast Avengers 2. So coming in at 472 pages, this looks like quite a chunky trade that'll catch you up on all of the kind of duet adventures of Vision and the Scarlet Witch together through the days, well, not through the days, through the years. This will be in shops Jan 13th and goes for a retail price of $39.99. Next up, we have a current favorite, fan favorite of many people. This is the kind of horror version of the Hulk. This is the Immortal Hulk, and this is the latest trade paperback, volume 8, Keeper of the Door. Al Ewing's still doing a sterling job on the writing, and Joe Bennett still doing the art as well. Of course, you also get this beautiful cover art by Alex Ross. This collects Immortal Hulk 36 through 40. It's in shops Jan 20th and goes for a retail price of $15.99. Then we have another favorite, but the new version of this character. So this is Star Wars Dr. Aphra. There's a Dr. Aphra Omnibus coming out from the original Dr. Aphra series, but this is the latest series written by Alyssa Wong. And this covers the first trade of this new series, and this collects Star Wars Dr. Aphra 1 through 5 from 2020. This is in shops Jan 27th and goes for $15.99. Let's see what DC has for us in January. First of all, we got a new printing of The Flash by Geoff Johns. This is the second omnibus and collects The Flash 192 through 225, Wonder Woman 214, and The Flash, The Secret of Barry Allen number 1. This will be in shops Jan 20th and goes for $99.99. Next up, we have an art collection. This is Legends of the DC Universe Doug Mahnke hardcover. I'm not sure if this is an oversized hardcover. I would imagine it is, since it's featuring the art of Doug Mahnke, but I couldn't find that in the solicitations anywhere. This collects a whole bunch of stuff that I'm not going to read through, but you can pause this video and take a look and go through it yourself. This is in shops Jan 20th and goes for $49.99. Next, we have Batman the Chalice trade paperback. This is Chuck Dixon on writing, and this collects the original graphic novel Batman the Chalice and Batman the Ankh 1 and 2. This is in stores Jan 27th and goes for $19.99. Then we have one of my favorite runs by Gail Simone, who's a great writer. She really kind of knocked it out the park with this and became a household name through this title. This is the old run of Birds of Prey, and this is Heroes Hunters trade paperback. And this collects Birds of Prey 96 through 103. It'll be in shops Jan 13th and goes for $29.99. Next up, we've got one of the crazy crossovers from back in the day. This is Stan Lee creating the DC Universe, and this is the second trade paperback. Stan Lee kind of jumps around and grabs just random characters from DC and writes them in the Marvel way. So it's really interesting, not always the best stories you've ever read in your life, but if you're looking for something different that kind of plays around with some of your DC favorites, this is a really, really fun book to grab and take a look at. This is in shops January the 6th and goes for $34.99. Next up, we have Justice League Dark. This is the fourth trade paperback, A Costly Trick of Magic. This is James Tynion. Great writing, some beautiful art on this as well. And this is quite a chunky trade. This collects 8 issues, not just the kind of standard 5 we see these days. It collects Justice League Dark 20 through 28, comes out Jan 27th and goes for $19.99. Next up, we have a reprint of all the Walmart exclusives, I believe, of this Titans run. This is Titans Burning Rage, and it collects Titans Burning Rage 1 through 7, is in shops Jan 27th and goes for $16.99. Then we have something to match up with your watching of Wonder Woman 1984, and this is Wonder Woman in the 50s. So if you didn't want to grab all those omnis of kind of the early golden age stuff of Wonder Woman and you just wanted to grab a slice of that and kind of get into the early years of the character, this is your chance. It's in a trade paperback. It's relatively cheap for the amount of material that it collects. It's got Wonder Woman 45, 50, 60, 66, 72, 76, 80, 90, 94, 95, 98 through 101, 103, 105, 107, 108, All-Star Comics 56 and 57, and Sensation Comics 97 through 100. So you get all of that for around $35, which seems like a really good deal for a chunky trade. So if you want to get into the good old Wonder Woman, this is your chance to grab this. Next up, we have a continuing run by Brian Michael Bendis. Lots of people have said this is a really, really great run by him. This is Young Justice, and it's the latest trade paperback called Warriors and Warlords, and this collects Young Justice 13 through 20, is in shops Jan 20th for $19.99. Let's take a look at what Image Comics has in Jan 2021. First of all, another pick of the month for me. If you haven't read The Pulp Story by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, this is your chance to get it for a little bit less than the hardcover cost. So originally, this was in a thin style hardcover. This is now available as a trade paperback. So if you've been sleeping on this, excuse the pun, if you know Ed Brubaker, you know the sleeper pun that I just made. If you don't, apologies. Anyway, apart from bad jokes, I should say this is a must read. And if you've kind of been waiting off because the price of a thin hardcover was a bit too much for you, this is your chance to grab a little bit cheaper and softcover and get into it. Highly recommended. Next up, we have a reprint that's also available in trade paperback, but I'm going to feature the hardcover version because many people are interested in the hardcover version of this. This is the Complete Darkness Volume 1. It covers all the old Darkness stuff that crosses over into Witchblade that Top Cow put out many years ago. This collects Darkness 1 through 18, Tales of the Darkness 1 through 4, and the half issue Darkness Prelude number 1, Witchblade 10, 18, and 19. It's in shops Jan 27th and goes for around $50. Next to this, we have the Complete Witchblade hardcover volume 1, which is also available in trade paperback if you don't want the hardcover, and this equally collects a huge chunk of the first piece of Witchblade. It collects Witchblade 1 through 19, The Darkness 9 and 10, and Tales of the Witchblade half and 2 through 3, or half through 3. I don't know how to read that. Anyway, it says it's in shop September, so it might have already come out. Some of these solicits are weird with COVID, but that's 2020. And it goes for the same price of $49.99. So if you want to jump on the old Top Cow stuff, Witchblade in the Darkness, they're reprinting the hardcovers and the trades. Grab whichever version you want, but now is the time to get it. Next up, we have a new book by Jacob Phillips, who's the son of Sean Phillips, who I just mentioned on the Pulp book. This is That Texas Blood. This is his first time as an interior artist. He's always been doing colors, writing by Chris Condon. This sounds really interesting, and it collects That Texas Blood 1 through 6 in shops Jan 13th for $9.99. So at a price like that, it's pretty much an easy pickup to see if you like it. Next up, we have the follow-up to Chew, which is Chew. I can't really say that indifferently because it sounds the same, but it's written differently. This is about a family member of the original guy from the original Chew series. I'll read it out for you from the solicit because it kind of explains it. Tony Chew is a cyberpath, able to get psychic impressions from what he eats. Saffron Chew is a cyberpaz, able to learn secrets from who she eats with. Tony is a cop, Saffron is a criminal. They are both brother and sister. I'll leave it at that. Sounds really cool. The original Chew series was great fun. This is kind of the spin-off and follow-up to that. And this collects the first 5 issues. So if you want to jump on, you can grab this Jan 20th for $9.99. Next, talking about new series by big creators, we have Firepower by Robert Kirkman with art by Chris Samney. Yeah, this is the second trade paperback because I believe the Prelude trade paperback was actually the first one that they brought out a couple of months ago. This collects the Firepower main series 1 through 6, comes out the first week of Jan and goes for $16.99. Next up, we have a Greg Rucka book. So Greg Rucka is famous for his kind of criminal crime noir style writing, and this time he does that with witchcraft involved with kind of police procedural stuff. So quite funky, beautiful art by Nicholas Scott on this. This is the third trade paperback called Ascension 1, and this collects Black Magic 12 through 16, out in the last week of Jan on the 27th and goes for $16.99. Next, let's see what Dark Horse has for us in 2021. Alrighty, kicking it off, this is a reprint, originally 47 Ronin. by Stan Sakai and Mike Richardson was brought out as a hardcover by Dark Horse, and now they are doing it in trade paperback. So if you were kind of holding off many years ago, didn't want the more expensive version, you can now pick this up. This is Stan Sakai, famous for Usagi Yojimbo. This is also in full color, I should mention, because a lot of Usagi is in black and white, so this is all colored as far as I remember, and this covers a classic samurai tale of the 47 Ronin. This is in stores Jan 13th. It's a pick of the month from me and goes for $19.99. Next up, we have another reprint. This is Harrow County. This was brought out in a series of 5 or 6 library editions, written by Cullen Bunn with a bunch of artists on it. It's really well recommended as far as I remember. This is now a softcover omnibus version that they're bringing out, and they'll bring out a bunch of these as far as I understand. This is the first one, and this collects 1 through 16 of Harrow County. Comes out in the first week of January and goes for $29.99. Next up, we have a spin-off from the world of Black Hammer, and this is Colonel Weird Cosmagog. This is the trade paperback of this, and this collects Colonel Weird Cosmagog 1 through 4 from Jeff Lemire and Tyler Crook. This is in stores Jan 27th and goes for $19.99. Next up, we've got something a little bit different. This is the Atomic Legion trade paperback by the same writer from 47 Ronin. This is Mike Richardson. This just sounds like an alternative take on superheroes. So if you're looking for something that's not exactly Justice League, maybe something more in that Black Hammer kind of style of riffing on traditional superheroes in the old school manner, then Atomic Legion might be something that catches your eye. This is in shops in the first week of Jan and goes for $19.99. Next up, something a little bit different that caught my eye from Dark Horse. This is the Saver trade paperback by Neil Clyde and John Broglia. Sorry if I murdered your names, apologies. It says this is for fans of Legend of Zelda, Top Chef, Disney films, and cooking shows or warrior chefs of all ages. So this is kind of aimed at the young adult market. Sounds really interesting. Was just a little bit out there, and with my passion for cooking manga and cooking comics, I couldn't kind of not feature this one. So take a look if it interests you. This is in shops Jan 6th and goes for $14.99. Next up, let's take a look at everyone else. So this is Boom Studios, IDW, Oni Press, etc., etc., etc. Let's take a look at what they have for us. First of all, from Cinebook, one of my favorite publishers that publishes kind of European album-sized comics like Lucky Luke and everything else. They publish them in English and translate them regularly. This is the latest Lucky Luke, so this is, I think, number 77. Really? There's that many? Wow. Okay, I've got a lot of reading to catch up. This one caught my eye. Great cover. This is Cowboy in High Cotton, and it comes out Jan 27th for $11.95. So if you're into something a little bit European, a little bit different, but still classic because it's Lucky Luke, then you can grab the latest one at the end of January. Next up, on the Christmas theme, because I guess January is still just an extension of Christmas, really, we have Klaus, the New Adventures of Santa Claus. This covers and collects Klaus and the Witcher Winter #1 and Klaus and the Crisis in Xmasville #1. This is in the first week of January and goes for $17.99. Next up, for fans of Firefly, we have New Sheriff in Verse, or In the Verse. Sorry, horrible English. This is a hardcover written by Greg Pak, and I'm not quite sure what it really covers, but if you're a Firefly, it says part 2, so if you're a Firefly fan, then you'll probably know what it covers, so I suggest you pick it up. This comes out end of Jan for $19.99. So next we have Ignited. This is the second trade paperback, Fight the Power. This is by Mark Waid, who joined Humanoids, I think, over a year ago now. So if you're into an alternate take on superheroes that is not just from the big two, I'd suggest taking a look at this series. Waid is always a great writer, especially of superhero stuff. This comes out Jan 13th for $19.99. Next, another book from Humanoids. This is For Justice, the Serge and Beat Klarsfeld story. Sorry, I probably murdered that. This is by Pascal Bresson and Sylvain Dorange. Sorry, I probably also murdered those names. This sounded super interesting to me though. So this is the seldom told true story of France's most famous Nazi hunters and the heroes of the resistance, the Klarsfelds. This is in stores Jan 27th and goes for $19.99 and is a softcover. Next up from Aftershock, we have Artemis and the Assassin. I think this really just caught my eye because of the full Hester cover. It looks like really awesome with the heads and everything, but it sounds interesting as well. So what happens when a time-traveling assassin and a spy from 1944 try to kill each other? That's all I know. This is in shops Jan 13th, 2021 and goes for $16.99. Next we have Join the Future. This is a trade paperback by Zach Kaplan, also from Aftershock Comics, and this caught my eye because it takes two things I love, sci-fi and westerns, and makes them into a sci-fi western. So if that sounds super interesting to you, this comes out in the first week of January and goes for $16.99 from Aftershock Comics. Next we got Cullen Bunn, who's a kind of famous or infamous writer on comics, and this is an omnibus called All My Little Demons, which is the complete series. I know nothing about this, but it still caught my interest because of the writing, the writer, and this collects a whole bunch of different stuff, a whole bunch of mini-series. I believe there's about 4 of them and an OGN, so it looks like a pretty thick book. I'm not sure if it's hardcover or softcover. I didn't pick up on that, but it will be in shops in the first week of January, so if Cullen Bunn is a writer that you love, you can pick it up for around $80. Next we have something called Mountainhead, and basically I featured this because the story sounds really funky. Let me just give you a bit of the pitch there. Don't slow down, don't get comfortable, don't think you're safe, be ready to run. Something sinister lurks in this graphic novel that is part psychological thriller and part horror story. If that sounds like it piques your interest, this comes out January 13th for $17.99. Next up, the classics, some reprints of the classics. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Ultimate Collection, the 5th trade paperback by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. Yeah, if you don't know this, then where have you been? This is the original Mirage Studios, issues 56 through 62, and also a whole bunch of additional artwork and stuff in the back, I believe comes in these trades. Anyway, this is in shops Jan 27th and goes for $29.99. Next up, talking about 80s classics, we have Transformers. And what's better than just Transformers? Transformers versus the Terminator. I don't know how else to sell this. If this is your cup of tea, Jan 27th, $15.99, pick it up. Next, we have Rick and Morty, and this is the 12th trade paperback by Kyle Starks. This covers issues 56 through 60, comes out Jan 20th for $19.99. Next up, we have Chef Yasmina and the Potato Panic. This is a hardcover graphic novel that comes out on the 27th of Jan. This is a kind of young adults teen series. Sounds really, really good from first second. So if this is your cup of tea, you can grab it for $22.99. And that's it. Thanks so much for watching. I wish you all a happy new year and a great January. Enjoy spending all that extra Christmas money on comics. And if you haven't already, please hit that like button. Drop a comment on what you're going to pick up in January 2021. And remember, stay perfect.